Okay, let's get into this. We are setting the dial back to a very specific moment in time. The year is 1970, and the location, we are dropping you right into the murky, brackish waters of the Chesapeake Bay and the gritty, rain-slick streets of Baltimore.
And it is a time and place of extreme, almost violent contrasts. I mean, you have the serenity of the water, the timelessness of the tides, and then just a few miles away, you have urban decay, a drug epidemic that's just exploding on the streets, and a country that is, tearing itself apart over the war in Vietnam.
It really feels like the whole world is on a knife's edge in 1970. And walking the line between these two worlds, the peace of the ocean and the violence of the city, is our central figure, John Terrence Kelly. Now, you follow the Tom Clancy universe, you might know this name, or at least the name he eventually takes later in his career. But the man we are looking at today, he is not a spy yet. He is not a CIA legend yet.
No, not at all. Not even close. At this specific moment in 1970, John Kelly is a ghost. He is a former Navy SEAL, specifically UDT, the Underwater Demolition Team. And he's a Mustang, which is a term we should probably define for people who aren't, military buffs.
Right, because that's not the usual path. Usually you go to the academy to become an officer or you enlist. You don't usually jump the fence.
Exactly. A Mustang is an enlisted man who is promoted to officer because he was just that good. It's rare, and it commands a whole different kind of respect. He holds the Navy Cross, which is second only to the Medal of Honor.
So this guy's the real deal.
Oh, he's the top 1% of the top 1%. But when we meet him in this source material, he isn't wearing a uniform. He is a man who is just utterly broken by grief.
So the mission of this deep dive is to really unpack the transformation of this man. We're going to explore how a man who is essentially hollowed out by tragedy gets pulled back into the world, not by duty or orders, but by a chance encounter on the side of a highway.
Yeah. And we're analyzing a narrative that weaves together some seriously high-tech military procedures, for the 70s anyway, with some, really intense medical drama and some brutal street justice.
It really is a study in competence versus chaos. How does a man who specializes in underwater demolition, who knows exactly how to survive in a jungle combat zone, how does he navigate a world of domestic tragedy and disorganized urban crime? That is the hook here.
It's the ultimate fish out of water story, except the fish is a great white shark.
Okay, so let's set the stage with the protagonist's state of mind. Because before the bullets start flying and the cars start crashing, we need to understand where Kelly's head is at. And frankly, it's in a very, very dark place.
It is not in a good place at all. I mean, 6 months prior to the main events of this story, Kelly lost his wife, Tish. And this wasn't just a loss. It was a sudden, violent, completely random event.
Right.
She was pregnant. She was driving a station wagon, and a tractor-trailer's brakes failed. Just gone.
God. That randomness is the hardest part to swallow, isn't it? In war, you have an enemy. You have a threat you can see. You can fight back.
Precisely. In combat, you can shoot back. You can maneuver. You can do something. But a mechanical failure on a truck. There's no one to blame, no one to fight. And just like that, his entire future was wiped out. The source material uses this specific phrase, the hollow man.
And I don't think that's just poetic license. It feels like a clinical diagnosis.
I think it is. Let's dig into that, because when we say hollow man, it sounds like he's just sad. But it's deeper than that, right?
Much deeper. When you look at clinical descriptions of grief, especially sudden violent loss, the brain actually shuts down non-essential emotional processing. It's a survival mechanism.
A circuit breaker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If Kelly actually felt the full weight of losing his wife and unborn child every waking second, he probably couldn't function. He couldn't get out of bed, couldn't make food. He just ceased to be.
So he compartmentalizes. He creates a void where all that pain should be.
Right. He creates a mental partition. He functions on autopilot. He is competent. He goes through the motions of living, but emotionally, he is completely dead. He calls himself the hollow man because the core of his humanity, his soul, has been scooped out to keep him from collapsing.
And what's fascinating about Kelly is that he fills that void with procedure. The notes describe his daily routine on his houseboat, the Springer. It's regimented. He checks the lines, he checks the engines, he cleans the brass. Everything is by the book.
He's living on this boat and leasing a surplus Navy bunker on Battery Island. He is literally isolating himself inside a fortress.
It's almost like he's still in the military. He's imposing external order because his internal world is absolute chaos. That's the Mustang officer in him coming out, that discipline. But there's a danger there.
What's the danger?
The Hollow Man is efficient, yes. But he has no moral anchor at this moment. He's a weapon sitting on a table. If you point him at a target, he'll destroy it, not because he hates it, but because that's what the machine does. He's an instrument without a purpose.
Which makes that scene in the prologue so much more intense. I mean, the sources give us this incredible moment where, even in this state of grief, he takes a job demolishing an oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico.
This scene is vital. It's our baseline for who he is now. He's diving in the murky water, setting C4 charges on twisted steel. It's incredibly dangerous work. One slip, one loose current, and you're crushed, or you drowned.
And yet he says the phrase "fire in the hole," and he's totally calm.
He's testing his own numbness. When he yells "fire in the hole" and pushes the detonator, his heart rate doesn't spike. His breathing doesn't change. That is terrifying competence.
Wow.
It highlights that he is comfortable with explosives, he is comfortable underwater, he is comfortable in environments that would kill a normal person in minutes. The oil rig is twisted wreckage, dangerous to even be around, and he dismantles it with surgical precision.
It establishes right away this is not a guy you want to mess with. He might be sad, he might be grieving, but he is a lethal weapon.
A weapon without a target.
Until he stops his car on the side of the road.
And this is the inciting incident. Section 1. The encounter and the rescue. It's May. Kelly is driving his International Scout, which, by the way, we need to put a pin in that because that car is practically a character in itself, and he sees a hitchhiker.
Pam Madden.
Right, Pam Madden. She's standing there, disheveled, anxious, wearing clothes that don't fit. And Kelly, who has been numb for 6 months, who has been avoiding all human contact, he stops. He doesn't even really know why at first.
The text suggests it's almost instinctual. He sees something in her eyes. It's not just fear.
It's the 1,000-yard stare. He's seen it on weary men in combat, and he realizes he's wearing the same look himself when he looks in the mirror. They are two broken people recognizing each other's frequency.
So he picks her up, takes her back to his boat, the Springer. And of course, because this is a story about turbulence, a literal storm hits the Chesapeake Bay.
The storm is a crucial plot device here. It's not just weather. It forces them to anchor. It isolates them completely from the rest of the world. The vulnerability of the boat in the storm mirrors their own internal states.
And in that isolation, they find an immediate, intense connection. It's physical, yes, but the sources make it clear it's deeply emotional.
It's the psychology of shared trauma. They are both drowning, metaphorically, and they grab onto each other as life rafts.
The source material mentions that Kelly sees his late wife, Tish, in Pam. He sees a chance to protect someone again, something he feels he failed to do for Tish.
And Pam, who we learn has been through absolute hell, she sees safety in Kelly. It's likely the first time a man has touched her without trying to hurt her or use her for profit. It's a moment of pure, desperate solace for both of them.
But as with any good thriller, the bubble has to burst, or at least reality has to intrude. And reality arrives in the form of a very expensive yacht running aground near Kelly's island.
Enter Sam and Sarah Rosen. This is a pivotal moment because it introduces the normal world back into Kelly's isolated life. Sam is a world-renowned surgeon. Sarah's a pharmacologist. They are educated, wealthy, successful.
And they're stuck on a sandbar because Sam can't read a chart.
Right, which is just a perfect little detail.
I love this detail from the source. It's the zinc versus sink misunderstanding. And honestly, while it's funny, I think it highlights the core theme of the book, the huge gap between credentials and competence.
That's a great distinction. Sam Rosen is a genius in the operating room. He understands the human cardiovascular system better than anyone on the planet. But put him in the chaotic environment of the Chesapeake Bay and he's helpless.
Because he lacks street smarts, or in this case, marine smarts. For the listener who isn't a boater, let's drill down on what electrolysis actually is. It's not just rust, right?
No, it's much more insidious. It's electrochemical. When you have two different metals, like a bronze propeller and a stainless steel shaft submerged in an electrolyte like salt water, you basically create a battery. A tiny electrical current flows between them.
And that current eats metal.
It literally dissolves the weaker metal. It pulls the ions right off the structure. The zinc is a sacrificial anode. It's a piece of metal designed to be eaten by that current, so the expensive propeller and the shaft stay safe. You have to replace them every year.
So Sam, the brilliant surgeon, read the survey report, saw the word zincs, and thought it said sinks, like bathroom sinks. He checked the plumbing and thought, the sinks are fine. Meanwhile, his $1,000 propellers are dissolving in the salt water.
Exactly. And Kelly has to explain this high-level chemistry to a professor of surgery. It establishes a really important dynamic. Kelly is a high school-educated NCO, and Sam is a prestigious doctor. But in the real world, the physical world of survival and mechanics, Kelly is the master.
It earns him Sam's respect immediately. But that lighthearted moment shifts gears fast. Kelly is helping them, moving some groceries from their boat to his, and he drops Pam's backpack.
And out rolls a bottle, an unlabeled prescription bottle.
Quaaludes.
Methaqualone. Now, for our listeners who might not know the context of the 1970s, this was a heavy hitter. It's a sedative hypnotic. It acts like a barbiturate. It was widely abused to bring people down, to control them. It was a chemical leash.
And Kelly's reaction is visceral. He feels betrayed. The text says something like, "I hate the goddamn stuff." He almost rejects Pam right there. He thinks she's just an addict who played him for a place to stay.
But Sam Rosen steps in, and this is where the doctor becomes the voice of reason. Sarah, the pharmacologist, identifies them immediately, and Sam explains the physiology of addiction to Kelly. He tells Kelly that it's not just a moral failing, it's a trap. The brain chemistry literally changes. You can't just decide to stop.
And this leads to the truth about Pam.
And the truth is horrifying.
It is. Pam confesses she's a runaway from Texas. She had an abusive father, and there's that theme again of failed male protectors. She ran away and fell into the hands of a prostitution and drug ring in Baltimore.
We need to talk about the mechanism of control here. It wasn't just, here's some drugs, have fun.
No, it was systematic. It was a business model. Sexual abuse, regular beatings, and forced drug dependency. They used the drugs to keep the girls docile, to keep them confused and unable to escape. It creates a horrific feedback loop where the victim is dependent on the abuser for the very thing that stops the withdrawal pain.
It's pure evil. And there's one specific detail Pam recounts that really turns the stomach: the murder of a girl named Helen.
This is the turning point for the narrative's moral compass, I think. The ringleader, a man named Henry, didn't just kill Helen because she tried to escape or held back some money.
No, it was a lesson. He made the other girls watch. It was a demonstration of absolute power. This is what happens if you try to leave. This is what happens if you defy me. It's psychological terrorism.
That is the moment where you realize we aren't dealing with run-of-the-mill criminals. We are dealing with monsters.
Right.
And Kelly decides, in a moment that defines his character, that he isn't going to kick Pam out. He's going to heal her.
And he does it the only way he knows how: discipline, routine. He uses his military background. He weans her off the pills, not with other drugs, but with exercise, good food, and sunlight. He rebuilds her physically and mentally on that island fortress of his.
It's a My Fair Lady situation, but instead of teaching her to speak proper English, he's teaching her how to survive and regain her own humanity.
Which brings us to Section 2, the antagonists and the business. Because we need to understand who we are up against. We mentioned Henry Tucker.
The brains of the operation.
Right. Henry is the drug processor. He's the one mixing the chemicals. Then you have Tony Piaggi, the mob connection for distribution, the money guy. And Eddie Morello, the muscle.
And the product they are pushing is called Asian Sweet.
High-grade heroin. The source material notes that it's cut with non-toxic elements like milk sugar or quinine, and that sound almost oddly ethical for drug dealers, but it's purely business.
They want repeat customers, not dead ones.
Exactly. Dead customers don't buy more heroin. It's a chillingly corporate approach to destroying lives. It's about maximizing profit from human misery.
But speaking of dead customers, or dead employees, we have to talk about the disposal method. This is one of those details that sticks with you long, long after you finish the story.
It is grotesque but fascinating in a morbid, biological way. They have a problem: bodies. Specifically, a courier named Angelo who they needed to get rid of. How do you make a body disappear in the Chesapeake Bay?
You don't just weigh it down with concrete shoes.
No, because decomposition creates gases, bodies bloat and float. It's basic biology. So they wrap the body in netting, weight it with concrete blocks, and dump it in relatively shallow water. Why?
Because of the blue crabs.
The crabs, the efficiency of nature. The blue crab is an aggressive, relentless scavenger. They will find any source of protein. They can pick a body clean in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
They strip the flesh, leaving nothing but bone, which eventually scatters in the current or sinks into the silt. The perfect crime. No body, no murder investigation.
And the irony, the dark, twisted irony, is that these villains then go out and catch crabs in the same area to eat.
It creates this gruesome, obscene cycle. It really highlights the juxtaposition of the civilized drug business. You know, they have bank accounts, they wear silk shirts, they drive nice cars, with this primal, brutal reality of how they maintain power. They're literally feeding their enemies to the food chain and then dining on the result.
It's absolutely chilling. So while Kelly is playing house and nurse on the island and the bad guys are feeding people to crabs, there's a whole other war happening halfway across the world. Section 3. The Shadow War.
This creates the parallel plot structure of the story. We shift focus to Southeast Asia. We meet Colonel Robin Zacharias. He's an Air Force pilot, shot down over North Vietnam.
And officially, he's dead. Or at least the U.S. doesn't know he's alive. He's listed as killed in action or missing in action. But he's actually alive, being held in a secret prison camp.
And this leads to a fascinating bit of tech talk, the Buffalo Hunter mission. We have to pause here because for 1970, this is basically science fiction. This is the great-grandfather of the Predator drone.
But it's analog. That's what blows my mind. There's no satellite uplink. There's no guy in a trailer in Nevada flying this thing with a joystick and a video feed.
No, it's completely pre-programmed. They take a DC-130 Hercules, a massive 4-engine cargo plane, and strap these jet-powered drones under the wings. They fly near the border, drop the drone, and the drone's internal guidance system, a mix of gyroscopes and timers, flies a specific pattern.
It's flying blind, essentially, just hoping the math is right.
And it's flying low and fast. The Model 147, the Firebee 2 drone, had to get under the North Vietnamese radar net. We're talking about a robot flying 500 miles per hour, just a few hundred feet off the deck over hostile territory. And it's painted with early radar-absorbent material. It's a stealth aircraft before the term was even popular.
In the camera tech, this isn't digital. There are no memory cards.
It's wet film, a massive roll of high-resolution film in a specially designed camera. It flies its route, snaps pictures at programmed intervals, turns around, and flies back out to sea. But here's the craziest part: the recovery. The drone doesn't have landing gear.
So it just pops a chute and splashes down.
It pops a parachute, but they can't let it hit the water. The salt water would ruin the film and the electronics, so a helicopter or recovery bird flies over the drifting parachute with a huge grappling hook system, snags the lines in midair, and winches the entire drone inside while it's still flying.
That sounds like a stunt from a James Bond movie. That can't be real.
It sounds impossible, but they really did it. It was a standard, if incredibly dangerous, procedure for these crews. And that one frame of film, that physical piece of plastic that traveled through the stratosphere, is the only reason they find Colonel Zacharias.
It emphasizes how fragile hope is. One mechanical failure, one missed hook, one bit of bad weather, and that photo sinks to the bottom of the ocean and he's lost forever.
But they catch it. Cody 193 is recovered. The film goes to the carrier USS Constellation, then it's flown to the Pentagon. And the intelligence photo interpreters spot it. A single white face in a crowd of Vietnamese peasants. It's Zacharias.
Wow.
This sets the wheels in motion for a rescue, and this is where we meet the heavy hitters in the military hierarchy: Admiral Dutch Maxwell and Admiral Casimir Podolsky.
And these guys aren't just bureaucrats pushing paper.
No, they are driven by personal loss. Their own sons or their friends' sons have been killed or lost in the war. They see this photo of Zacharias and it becomes deeply personal. They bring in Admiral James Greer from the CIA.
And they start planning Boxwood Green.
And this connects back to our main theme, the concept of faithful breach.
Okay, explain that for us.
It's the idea that sometimes to be faithful to the higher moral good, like saving a man who has been left behind, honoring the promise that you never leave a man behind, you have to breach the rules. You have to break protocol. The war is winding down, politics are messy, and officially they shouldn't be launching an unapproved, high-risk raid into North Vietnam. But they decide to do it anyway, in secret.
And that mirrors exactly what Kelly is about to do in Baltimore.
Precisely. Kelly is going to operate outside the law to achieve justice, just as these admirals are operating outside standard procedure to achieve a rescue. It's two sides of the same coin. Both are driven by the idea that the system has failed to protect the people it was supposed to.
So back to Kelly. Pam is getting better. She's healthier, stronger. But she realizes something. She can't just live on this island forever while the other girls are still suffering.
It's her conscience kicking in. She tells Kelly she needs to go back to Baltimore, not to return to that life, but to identify the dealers. She wants to give their names to a police contact Kelly knows, a Lieutenant Frank Allen. She wants to burn it all down.
Section 4. The Scout and the Hunt. Kelly agrees, but he doesn't go in blind. This is where we see the transition from grieving husband back to tactical operator.
He field strips and cleans his .45 Colt automatic. He preps his vehicle. He approaches the city not as a citizen, but as if he's on a reconnaissance mission. He's observing the street ecology.
He notices things normal people miss. The dealers on the corners, the lieutenants in their cars, the customers driving in from the suburbs. He calls them the gentry. He notes the lack of police presence. He's reading the battlefield.
And they are in his International Scout. Now, we mentioned the car earlier. This is crucial. The Scout is a 4-cylinder, high-clearance, boxy utility vehicle. It's not fast. It's basically a tractor with seats. It's built for durability, not speed.
Which becomes a huge problem when they get spotted.
Right. They are cruising the neighborhood, spotting the bad guys, but they get made. A bright red Plymouth Roadrunner spots them.
Driven by Billy.
Billy, one of the Ring's enforcers. And Billy loves his muscle car. It's the late 60s, early 70s peak muscle era. V8 engine, low to the ground, fast on the straightaway. He starts chasing them.
Let's break down the matchup here. In the red corner, we have a Plymouth Roadrunner. In the blue corner, an International Scout. On paper, this isn't a fight. The Plymouth has, what, 335 horsepower?
At least. It's a 383 Magnum V8 or a 440. It's designed for drag strips and highway passing. It applies massive torque to the rear wheels to scream down the road, but it has a fatal flaw for the specific environment Kelly chooses: ground clearance and torque delivery.
And Kelly knows this. He knows that horsepower is useless if you can't put it to the ground. He's a mechanic, he's a frogman, he understands the physical world.
Exactly. Kelly realizes immediately he cannot outrun the Roadrunner on pavement. The Scout would be left in the dust. So what does he do? He uses the terrain. He leads Billy into a construction site, a vacant lot where old row houses were demolished and the basements were filled with loose dirt. It's been raining. It's a mud pit.
Kelly's Scout has these knobby, rough terrain tires and high clearance. It just plows through the mud.
But the Roadrunner, it has slick street tires, probably bias-ply tires, common back then, and maybe 2 inches of ground clearance. Kelly lures him in. He heads for the fill. This is loose, aerated soil turned to soup by the rain. When the Roadrunner hits that, those wide, slick street tires don't dig, they just float and spin.
It's the pizza cutter principle, right?
Right. Kelly's Scout has tall, skinny tires, relatively speaking. They cut through the slime to find hard earth underneath. The Roadrunner's wide tires just hydroplane on top of the mud.
And the differential matters here too, doesn't it?
It's a huge factor. A standard muscle car differential sends power to the wheel with the least resistance. So once one wheel starts to slip in the mud, all 335 horsepower goes to that one spinning wheel. The other wheel does nothing. The car goes nowhere.
Meanwhile, Kelly just puts the Scout in 4-low, locks the hubs, and crawls out like it's nothing.
And the Roadrunner just bogs down, the tires spin, it digs its own grave, the engine starts to overheat. It's completely helpless.
I love the moment where Kelly stops. He doesn't just drive away. He stops just out of reach, rolls down the window, and taunts them. He just looks at them and calls them assholes and drives off.
It's incredibly satisfying. It's brains over brawn. It's the professional soldier outsmarting the street thug. It proves that his machine, his way of thinking, is superior to their brute force.
But it also makes Kelly overconfident.
A fatal mistake.
And that leads us to Section 5, the ambush and the aftermath. And this is where it hurts.
Kelly relaxes. He thinks he's won. He thinks the threat is stuck in the mud. He pulls the Scout over in a quiet, tree-lined area to let Pam calm down. She's terrified, obviously.
And she starts revealing more about the ring, the extent of the crimes, the particular danger of Billy. And just as they are talking,
the mistake, the cardinal sin of tactics. He let his guard down. He stopped in an unsecured area without checking his six. Pam looks over Kelly's left shoulder and screams.
He spots danger. Kelly tries to reach for his gun. It's under the seat, but he's too slow. He's a fraction of a second too late.
A shotgun blast at close range. It destroys the side of the Scout. It hits Kelly in the head, neck, and shoulder.
It's absolute chaos, just darkness and the sound of breaking glass.
Now we shift to the aftermath. A police officer, Officer Monroe, finds the car. It's a bloodbath. He assumes Kelly is dead. I mean, massive head wound, blood everywhere. It's a miracle he's breathing. But then Kelly moves. A twitch.
The paramedics arrive, Eaton and Marconi. They rush him to Johns Hopkins. And here's the twist that ties all the story threads together.
The doctor on call in the ER is Sam Rosen, Kelly's friend from the island.
Can you imagine? You're a surgeon, a gunshot wound to the head, trauma case rolls in, you're prepping for surgery, and you look down and realize, my God, this is the guy who fixed my propeller last week.
It raises the stakes immensely. Sam knows this man. He knows the incredible physical strength he has. But the diagnosis is grim. Severe shock. Blood pressure is 50/30. That's basically a corpse. That means his heart is barely pumping enough fluid to keep the veins open. He has multiple pellets lodged in his neck, right near the spine.
But then the miracle. Or maybe just the pure dumb luck of the universe.
The luck of the draw. The surgeon identifies the shot. It was #7 birdshot, small, tiny lead pellets, used for hunting birds, not deer or people.
As Sam says in the text, someone mistook him for a pigeon.
We have to understand the ballistics here. If it had been 00 buckshot, which are large lead balls the size of marbles, Kelly would have been decapitated at that range. His head would be gone. But the birdshot, while messy and bloody, has less mass per pellet. It didn't penetrate as deeply as it could have. It missed the major arteries. It missed the spinal cord by millimeters.
Says millimeters.
But as Sam is working on him, realizing his friend might actually survive, there is a massive gaping hole in the story. She's not in the car.
The police report says one victim. Pam is gone. The bad guys didn't just shoot Kelly and run. They took her.
And that is the cliffhanger. Kelly is lying on a table, hovering between life and death. Pam is back in the clutches of the monster she tried to escape. And the system, the police, the safety of the city, it all failed to protect them.
So let's unpack what this all means. We have explored a few key threads here. We have the damaged hero finding a cause. We have the intersection of military competence and civilian crime.
It's really about skill sets, isn't it? Kelly knows how to fight a war. He knows reconnaissance, demolition, survival. And now he's found a war right here at home, on the streets of Baltimore.
Exactly. The story asks a fundamental question. What happens when the system fails? What happens when the law cannot stop men like Henry Tucker? When a girl like Pam can be bought, sold, and killed without any real consequence?
It suggests that sometimes you need something stronger than the law. You need a force of nature.
And that is what is being born on that operating table. The sources tell us that John Kelly, the grieving widower, the man who tried to heal Pam with kindness and patience, he essentially died in that car.
It's a symbolic death, absolutely.
Yes, because if he wakes up, and we know he will, he isn't going to be the man who tries to heal people anymore. He's going to be the man who brings the rain.
He tried peace, he tried love, he tried to do it the right way by working with the police. And the world responded with a shotgun blast to the face.
So the man who wakes up is going to be something else entirely, something colder, something without remorse.
It sets up the second half of the story perfectly. The retribution.
And it leaves us with a provocative thought for you, the listener. We all believe in justice. We all believe in the law. But ask yourself this. How far would you go to protect someone you saved? If the law failed you, if the monsters took the person you loved, and you had the skills to do something about it, would you stay within the lines, or would you cross them?
Does justice always require the law? Or does it sometimes require a man who is willing to become a monster to fight monsters?
It's a terrifying question, but John Kelly is about to answer it.
That is going to do it for this deep dive into the origins of John Kelly. We've covered the trauma, the rescue, the chase, and the tragedy.
Next time, maybe we'll see what happens when the Hollow Man fills himself up with rage.
I think we will.
Thanks for listening. Stay curious, stay safe, and watch out for those red road runners.
Indeed. Goodbye.